What's going on, Archivist? Welcome to today's episode of the Archivist's Almanac. This is the inaugural episode, the very first. And today, our main topic, we're going to talk about why I picked up Grand Archive, how I got into it, what my card game history is, and you're going to get to know me. So a little bit about myself. Y'all will know me if you're watching this on YouTube from the other videos that I've done. If you're listening to this on Spotify and this is your first time seeing me or hearing me, hello, I'm Varni. I have a Digimon team named DigiGuard United. We have a separate YouTube channel and we make Digimon Card Game content. So let me tell you a little bit about Grand Archive and this channel. Mainface TCG, the name was concepted from, we need something. We want to pull all other card games off of our Digimon channel because generally speaking, we have fine-tuned the algorithm, so to say, for DigiGuard United to Digimon players. We didn't want to ruin that algorithm by introducing other card games because we do collectively play other card games. We needed something and we're like, what does almost every card game have? And that is a main phase. So that is how Mainface TCG came to be. Originally started with the intent of hosting all of our Gundam and Grand Archive content. Grand Archive from me. The others don't really play Grand Archive. Gundam because, well, I mean, it's giant robots and we all love giant robots, don't we? So we do have a Gundam podcast as well called Ready to Deploy. Haven't recorded a new episode just yet, been waiting for set release, which is this week. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if you're interested in Gundam. This podcast in particular, this is my solo podcast. Like I said, I'm the only one who plays Grand Archive. It's not anybody else's cup of tea. Dan has been playing card games for years, and he said Digimon is the last card game that he would play. Gino is just a Digimon stan, and Mike has also been playing card games for years. So Digimon is pretty much the last card game that he'll play outside of his love for the One Piece and Magic the Gathering. So why I got into Grand Archive, before I tell you why, let's dial it back and let me tell you about my history playing card games. So I think everybody can say that their first card game was probably Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon. Mine was Yu-Gi-Oh! Saw it on television. We played the playground rules, Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember strapping a dual disc to my bicycle with my friend, trying to ride around this circle that we found so we could replicate dual runners from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, trying to sling cards. Wasn't a good idea. We didn't ever fell. I don't think we ever fell, but it just wasn't a good idea. But, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the inspiration for me to play card games. It was super interesting. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. So, unfortunately, I never got to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively, and I'm a very big competitive player. I saw that I had a store near me that was an OTS store. My parents, unfortunately, never allowed me to go. When I got into college, well, I guess before I got into college, during high school, I had a friend who played Cardfight Vanguard. And Cardfight Vanguard, if you know about it, it has an anime. And quite possibly one of the best things that you can do for any card game that is either anime art style or anime adjacent is an anime. And that's what Cardfight did. And I loved Cardfight. Cardfight still holds a special place in my heart, even though I don't play it anymore. He introduced me to Cardfight. He gave me the cards and we played. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is so fun. This is crazy good, yada, yada. I was a high schooler. Grow up. I go to college. And unfortunately, there wasn't anybody at my college, Temple University, who played Cardfight. But they did play Force of Will. And I never got big into Force of Will. I only learned enough about it so I could play with the one guy who I did find who played card games. He wasn't into Cardfight, he was into Force of Will. And I'll tell you, I did enjoy Force of Will. I didn't play it enough to have any big thoughts on it, but it was fun. Fast forward a little bit more. I'm still in college and I go on the Cardfight Vanguard subreddit and I'm like, hey, this is where I live. I'm trying to find if there's any locals around me where I can go to play, because at the time, this is like 2016, 2017, there was absolutely there's like no resources to find out. Like realistic, like let's talk about for what it is. In the last, like, I would say 6-ish years, 5 to 6 years, card games have blew up so much that it is easy to find resources to play card games now. But it was not that easy before. It really wasn't. I didn't know where to go, what groups to join. Yeah, there was like a Facebook group for it, but I didn't know. I used Facebook for like family and friends, but I didn't know there was a Cardfight Vanguard Facebook group or Yu-Gi-Oh or Force of Will for that matter. So the only thing that I had known of at the time was Reddit. And I wish that, I thought, well, if there's a Reddit, subreddit for it, maybe there's a Facebook group for it. Didn't think about it. Not to mention Discord was around, but also not as big as it is today. So luckily I found out that there was a store I would say about 40 minutes from me that had Cardfight Vanguard. And I was like, all right, bet I'm out there this weekend. I ended up going out there, and come to find out, the same friend who introduced me to Cardfight Vanguard in high school was there. And we're like, yo, what's up? What's going on? This is crazy. This is cool. And we reconnected again, and he introduced me to his friend group who was playing Cardfight Vanguard. And I played Cardfight for a minute. It was awesome, really. Honestly, it was awesome. The friend group was awesome. He was awesome. The game was fun. And that's all you can ask for when you play a card game. A fun play group and a fun card game. So we fast forward a little bit. And like I said, I'm competitive minded. I was trying to get better at the card game. And I knew if I spent more time, I would have gotten better at the card game. But I also think like part of me was like young, and it just didn't click with me. Games click with me now on a way different level than they do or than they did back then. And I think that's like a big thing. I just didn't have the mindset for it. But regardless, doesn't matter. Digimon ended up coming out, and I'm a really big Digimon fan. I have loved Digimon since I was a child. And I saw it come out, and I was like, you know what? No, I like Digimon, but I'm not going to get into it because I want to focus on Cardfight Vanguard as my only game. And we see where that has gotten us today. I did not focus on Cardfight as my only game. As a matter of fact, I started a YouTube channel initially called Varni's Card Lair. Dan loves to joke with me about, oh, what a name is that? And it was, Varni's Card Lair. It was Varni and his 1,000 card games that he was going to play. But I ended up playing Digimon, and I liked it so much that I went ham for Digimon. And because I went ham for Digimon, I had to put Cardfight on the back burner. Eventually, I basically did end up quitting Cardfight. I didn't really play it much anymore because all of my time went into playing Digimon. We ended up doing a podcast. So we ended up starting a YouTube channel and all this sort of stuff. And that's how I got to where I am today with content creation. Digimon is a really big love of mine, and I will always love Digimon. I'll always play Digimon. The reason I've picked up Grand Archive is because Grand Archive, in my opinion, it's doing a lot of the right things. I'm no like storied card game player, right? I've played card games for the last let's say 4 years, essentially 3 or 4 years. I'm not like the tons of other people playing this card game who have played card games for the last 10, 15, 20 years. But in my limited time, in my experience, just learning about how one card game is, in this case, Digimon, or two, Digimon and Cardfight, which are from two different companies, Bandai and Bushiroad, I can see the things that I enjoyed about those games and that I didn't enjoy about those games. So for me, probably first and foremost, the thing I enjoy the most about Grand Archive is how much freedom of expression there is in this game. I'm sorry, this podcast, I'm pretty much going to talk super heavily about my experiences with Digimon and Cardfight, just because it's the games that I've played. But I promise future podcasts, we're going to try to tone it back and leave it more Grand Archive centric. Digimon is a game where you have your boss monster. It's your win con, and it dictates the style of deck that you play. For example, if you like Gallantmon, you're pretty much going to be playing an OTK deck. Or if you like Sakuyamon, you're going to play this super mid-rangey control. It can be control, it can be aggro, but it's a super mid-range deck. Or if you like, I don't know, what's another one? Wargreymon. It's not the best right now. It's aight. But generally when you play Wargreymon, you're playing like an OTK deck, there's a War Greymon variant that you can play a little bit more control, but it's different cards. In Cardfight, it's like the same thing. The decks have very explicit playstyles, and while you do have room for what you put in as your rear guards and your orders and such, there's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of expression. But in Grand Archive, because you have a material deck, a minimum 60 card deck, and a side deck, and in your material deck, pretty much the only thing that you are required to play is a level 0 spirit, you have so much freedom for how you can build your deck and what you can do. And taking it a step further, because of the way the game is built, if you let's say you like Xander. Xander is an assassin, and you can just be like, well, I like Xander. I like what he does. I like the idea of an assassin. But I don't want to play level 3 Xander. I don't want to go all the way up and play this Luxem stuff. I just want to play Xander level 1 and level 2. Okay, you are more than welcome to do that. You can say, I don't want to play Crux Lorraine. I just want to play level 1 Lorraine. I don't even need level 2. Okay, that's fine. You can say, I don't want to play any champion. I just want my spirit on board because I want to do some other stuff. And that is okay. You can most certainly do that, which is crazy because what that lends itself to is such a wide and diverse set of cards that you can cobble together and basically build anything you want. If Digimon and Cardfight Vanguard are like buying a Lego set off the shelf and it comes with the instructions for how to play, but then it also has like an alternative set of instructions. And you're like, all right, cool. So I can build Model A or I can build Model B. Grand Archive is much more akin to, here's the big bucket of Legos. And we do sell other sets that you can buy. You can choose to buy those if you want, but you can just take your big bucket of Legos and go to the races. And I love that. I absolutely love that. As a competitive player, nonetheless, I just love that there is so much room for personal expression and for skill in the game, where Digimon and Cardfight can be lacking. I'm not saying they do lack it. It's just that they can be lacking in it at times. So that is like one really big thing about it for me. The other big thing is the resource system. I would say that a lot of people don't like Yu-Gi-Oh! If you like Yu-Gi-Oh!, you probably like Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you liked Yu-Gi-Oh! In the past. But if you're trying to get into Yu-Gi-Oh!, you might be put off of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think one of the biggest things is the resource or the lack of a resource system. Basically, every other game that has been coming out has a resource system. Cardfight, you have resources by ways of soul and counterblast. Digimon, you have a memory gauge. Grand Archive, you have your memory, the cards you put into your memory. Elestrals, you have your spirits. I'm not saying a game needs a resource system to be fair and good, but it looks like the trend is that you need a resource system to manage and balance the power of the game. And I think how Grand Archive does it, especially with the material deck, is super cool. And it leaves, like I said, a lot of room for expression. The fact that you can be like, all right, well, I'm playing Lorraine and I want to play 6 swords. Okay, have fun. Or I'm playing Xander and I want to play, I'll play this like Insignia of the Korhazi and I'll play the Luxera's map. But outside of that, I need like 3 tech cards for some matchups. I need smoke bombs so that I can save an ally, or I can get this stealth ally out of the way. Or I need this Viridian protective trinket so that I can make my water matchup just a little bit better. I love that. It's so awesome. Keeping on that competitive side, that competitive talk, the game is rewarding to play competitively. I play Digimon competitively. I won a regional 2 years ago, and all I won for that regional was a playmat that doesn't say champion. It's an exclusive art, so there's that. That's cool, I guess. I got some champion stamped cards. They chose the worst cards ever. It wasn't cards that I would ever want to keep because the cards were functionally bad. And they weren't even alternate arts. They were recolored cards. And I was like, man, this is what I get for winning. And Cardfight, you get great things for winning. And in One Piece, it's the same thing. You get great things for winning in One Piece. Shoot, you make money for winning in One Piece. But I don't play games because, like, the monetary aspect of it. Sure, it's nice that you can make money. I play games for self-validation. I play games, and I play them competitively because I set out to be the best that I can be at everything that I do. Unfortunately, that's just my personality. I didn't have that in school, but I have it for everything else. So as a content creator, my goal is to make the channel as big as it can be, to become a household name when people talk about, for example, when people talk about Pokemon, for me, I think of Tricky Gym. Or I think for VGC, I think of Wolfie Glick. Yu-Gi-Oh! There's MBT. There is Team APS. There is Team Samurai X. My goal is to be household names. When somebody mentions, hey, what's a good Digimon creator? I want to hear DigiGuard United in that conversation. And same for Grand Archive. When people say, hey, who are some good Grand Archive creators I should watch? I want to hear Varni from Mainface TCG in that conversation. It is just how I am. And because I'm like that, I'm the same way when I'm playing the card games. I need the reward. It's not about the money. It's about the notoriety. It's about the validation that I did it. I got there. I was the best at that moment. The things that you win in Grand Archive, I would hang that on my wall proudly. I wouldn't sell it. All right, that's a lie. That is a lie. Money does talk, but I would struggle very hard with the decision because, if you're traveling and you can make good money off the pricing and it pays for your trip and then some, who can dispute that? But at the same time, when I look at this and I look back on it, like I have the playmat hanging up on my wall from the Digimon Regional, and I look at it and I'm like, cool, I won. That's it. There's like nothing else. I don't have a trophy to show for it. I don't have like the cards because the cards were so trash. I sold them. And I like that about Grand Archive. I like that the pricing insensitizes players to want to play the game competitively, to want to top, to put in the time, to put in the effort. And that's where I'm at right now. I don't have that for Digimon. I don't play Cardfight that much anymore. I don't play Cardfight at all anymore. And Grand Archive has that. And that's why I'm so into this game and I really want to play this game. The other big thing for me, outside of the mechanics, outside of the competitive nature, is a very, very simple thing. It's the art. I've never thought of myself to be like, I'm not an art connoisseur. Nope, not that. But I've never really thought of myself as a collector. And for what it's worth, I do collect. I collect Hot Wheels. I walk into Target and I'm like, oh man, look at this limited edition Hot Wheel, or look at this, it's a freaking RX-78, or it's a Sylvia, or it's a Skyline R32. I'm picking this up. And I have a box full of Hot Wheels. I used to have them hanging across the wall in my old house. I've got those Gunpla back there that I collect. I like the look of them. I may not build them anytime soon because time is, a commodity. But I collect them. I like them. If I like something, I buy it, is how it boils down to. But I've never thought about cards that way. And I don't know when the switch flipped for me. Because like I said, I've collected Hot Wheels and stuff. But when I buy cards, I'm like, well, I didn't just pay $60 for this card to sit in the binder. I'm going to play with this card. And at some point, the switch flipped and I said, you know what? The art on this card is so ridiculously gorgeous. I need to have a binder just full of arts that I like. And I have ended up collecting a ton of Digimon cards. I swore to myself that I would never pay more than $100 for a card. I said to myself, if I had to pay more than $300, that would be insane. I would never I would never, ever buy a card for that much money. And if I pulled a card that it was that much, I would sell it. And I pulled this one card in Digimon that was worth a G, a whole grand. And I think that's when the switch flipped. When I said, I want a play set. The play set in Digimon is 4. I was like, I'm buying 4 of this. I did not buy 4 of it. I only bought 1 more because prices were outrageous at the time. And I settled on just having 2. I said, you know what? This is fine. This is keeping me in check. I will put 1 in the art binder, the one that I pulled, and the one that I bought, I will play with that one. And that's what I did. And I like that. I like that I know that I'm the verified owner of this card because I was the one who pulled it straight out the pack. And it's a beautiful card. It looks crazy in lighting. And I love that. And Grand Archive gives me that same exact feeling. I have not pulled a CSR yet. I would love to pull a CSR. Do you know what CSR I look forward to the most? I'm going to buy some boxes. I'm going to see if I can pull it. The CSR that I like the most right now is Snow White Weiss Queen. And I like it because not only is the art phenomenal, but the effect is super awesome as well. I find the effect, it's just a 1/1, but it's my type of effect. It's something that I would love to play with. So I would love to pull this CSR. If I were me, like, I don't know, 3 years ago, I'd have seen this. I'd be like, all right, I mean, that's a cool card, I guess, but I don't need to keep that. I can just sell that. That's fine. But I think when I got in the habit of buying cases and I ended up pulling these money cards, I'm like, oh man, there's a reason this is a money card, you know? I think that's when it became for me like, all right, yeah, I do have an appreciation for this stuff now. So Grand Archive just has some phenomenal art. Cremation Ritual is probably, like, if I were to give you a list of my top 5 cards right now, the Cremation Ritual altar art from SP2 is definitely up there. It's nothing like outrageously like amazing. It's not like, oh my goodness, look at that. But it fits the card, the flavor. It fits it so well. And you look at it, you're like, man, that is beautiful. And I love that so many cards in Grand Archive and also Digimon basically give you that feeling. When you can look at a card that has really good art, you're just like, man, yeah, that's a good one. I have a big appreciation for artists. I am not an artist. I tried drawing when I was younger, and if I was half decent at it, I am trash now. I can't do art at all now. It is not my skill set, but you can bet that if I did try to do art, I would do my best to be the best I can be, but I know that I can't. So I have a supreme appreciation for artists, things that they're capable of doing. We have commissioned playmats for Digimon and for Gundam, and the things that our artists have come up with, I'm just like, man, I could never. When I tell them, I'm like, yeah, I want this concept. I want you to capture this sort of feeling. I don't have the playmat on me. I'll show you guys at some point. There's this one playmat that I was like, all right, I want you to capture the essence of being at a Japanese festival in the summer. I want the Digimon. It was a Terriermon and Lopmon, if you know who they are. They were wearing yukatas. And I'm like, I want you to capture this essence of them at nighttime, running through the stalls, fireworks in the air. And I didn't really know what I had in mind. There was a card that I saw that had a similar aesthetic. And I was like, I want something like this. And what our artist did was crazy. And when I saw it, I was like, man, I would have never thought of this. You are amazing. And when I look at all the playmats, I feel that same way. Artists truly are special and they are so underappreciated. And in Digimon, they have artists that have been doing it for years, literal, sometimes decades. What's cool is we just got a card, not just, but a few sets ago, we got a card that was drawn by Demizu Posca. If you don't know who that is, she is the mangaka for The Promised Neverland, which is insane. The card art, to me, the two card arts she drew, gorgeous. Love it so much. The fact that Weebs, when they kickstarted the game, they basically said more than I can't remember what the exact number was, but it was at least 60% of the money was going to paying their artist. You look at the art that their artists have done, it's like, yeah, I mean, I totally understand why, and they totally deserve it. Any card in Digimon or Grand Archive, then I'm like, yeah, I don't really care for that card art. Generally, when I don't care for a card art, it's because there's an alternative card art that I prefer over it. But I don't just not care for card arts. And I'm looking through the card pool for GA, and every one of these just have a really good aesthetic to them. It has personality. Like, yeah, obviously it's a anime game with Western game design, anime style game with Western game design. But I love anime, and being able to see not just one flavor of anime, because Lorraine she looks like an anime character, but then you look at some other characters like maybe Polcock or Tenoris, and it's like, oh man, like, yeah, those look pretty awesome. They don't just look like your average generic anime characters. They have some personality. Or you look at the Majestic Spirit as a card, it's like, oh, sure, oh. So card art is a very big thing. That's like my holy trifecta when it comes to games: card art, game mechanics, and competitive viability. Those three things are what makes a game for me. And unfortunately, I'm a weeb. I am a weeb at heart. So first of all, Weebs of the Shore speaks to me like not like nothing else. But also, this anime art style, it gets me. It is me. I resonate with this. You know what I mean? So that's why I've chosen to really, dive into Grand Archive, to really play this and have this be my primary number 2 game, the game that I focus on that isn't named Digimon. Because y'all know it's hard. It's hard to manage more than one card game at a time, especially competitively. I love Star Wars. Quite possibly, if it wasn't for Disney, quite possibly one of my favorite franchises of all time. I mean, it's dudes with the lightsabers in space, and they got those big capital ships, and they've got the Force. Like, that's so cool. And I loved playing Star Wars Unlimited, but I realized very quickly that was not a game that I could focus on competitively at the same time as Digimon. As much as I love it, could not do it. And so I didn't. And I dropped the game because I was also playing Grand Archive at the time. I went to a locals in Wernersville, Pennsylvania that y'all would know, the Banished Zone. And I played Grand Archive, and I also bought Star Wars because my LGS I go to for Digimon doesn't run Grand Archive or Star Wars. So I bought those 2 games with me to play there, and I played Grand Archive, and when that was over, I went and I played Star Wars. And I was like, oh man, I really enjoyed Grand Archive, and I really enjoyed Star Wars, but one of these has to go because I cannot focus on Grand Archive, Star Wars, and Digimon all at the same time. And Star Wars was the one I let go. Grand Archive has been the one that has stuck with me. That was a year ago that I did that. I haven't played Grand Archive past the last month. I hadn't played it. I've kept up with it. I know when things happen. I buy things because I have problems. I bought a case of Mortal Ambition. I've always kept up with GA. It's always been interesting to me. And now that I'm actually playing the game, getting to learn about it, it is very enjoyable. I have no regrets playing this game. It is really and truly something that I can see myself diving just full into. There's so much, and I don't think that anybody knows everything. Like, we were only 4 main sets in with 4 side sets, because DTR is about to come out. We have AMB, FTC, DOA, and ALC. So we're about to be 5 main sets in with 4 side sets, 9 total sets over the course of, I think GA's been out. This is their 2nd anniversary. So it's almost about 2.5 years, 9 sets. And there's a wide card pool, such a vast card pool, that I feel like there are cards that like people just, you don't know about. I was looking through my bulk the one day because I was building Cruxlary, and Fire Tongue is from FTC. So that means I was opening FTC boxes. And I looked at Fire Tongue and I was like, why am I not playing this card? Like, I run Fire Element cards. You mean I can basically get a renewable attack with my Fire Tongue and my weapons won't break? That seems really good to me, especially on 2 base attack. So I don't recall what sword I took out because I run 6 swords in Lorraine currently, but I have Fire Tongue in there. And I mean, all right, I'm like, all right, I get it. I know why they don't necessarily play it, because your play line is sort of Seeking because you get it out off level 1, then sort of reimagined because you banish 2. And then you typically would just Spirit Blade Ascension for Prismatic Loop. But there's definitely a situation where you would prefer to have Fire Tongue, or you leave Fire Tongue in the deck, in the material deck, over Drawn Blade, and you get that out instead of the Drawn Blade for the card draw, so that you can just have this renewable attack, and then you can Ascension Loop whatever else, whether it's sort of Seeking or whatever. But yeah, it's as simple as that. There's so many cards that I'm looking at, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't know that this was a card. I didn't know this existed, and this is super cool. I definitely want to play this. So that's where I'm at with the game. I'm really enjoying the game. The local recap vlogs have been great. I've learned a lot over the last 4 weeks. I can tell you guys that much. Grand Archive, the ceiling, the skill level ceiling, the interaction ceiling it's so high, because that doesn't exist in Digimon not One Piece, sorry. Well, it doesn't exist on One Piece either, but Digimon, One Piece, Cardfight, this is much more a game like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic. I guess Force of Will as well. I think they had some sort of the same mechanics. And I like that. If I could have played Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively, I guarantee you I would have. Unfortunately, I never got to. And I was past my time at that point because I was playing Cardfight. But this game has definitely scratched my itch for wanting to learn more, wanting to do more, know more. This game has so much in it that I just find myself always consuming something. Let me put it this way. I'll leave you guys on this note. I feel like in Digimon, I have hit the point where there is no more knowledge that I can gain about that game. I could, sure, I don't know every interaction. There are some funky Digimon interactions that could happen. But when it comes to gameplay, I can almost pick up any deck, almost any deck, and pilot it and not have a problem. And that's not a bad thing. But because I'm there, it just doesn't feel like there's much more for me to learn. So I play the decks that I like, but I play them a couple times. I'm like, all right, well, I know the combos. So now we're just playing the game and I know the combos. And that's fine. But there's no next level to hit. And it feels like I have, like I said, I plateaued, I stagnated essentially. And GA has given me that. GA has put me in a spot where if I was here, I'm all the way down here because I don't know anything now and I'm learning. And there is so much to learn. But because of what the game allows for, there will always be more room to learn. And for what it's worth, it's not a slight against Digimon, because I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the same way. If I were to play Yu-Gi-Oh! It'd be the same thing. I'd have to learn the meta, learn the interactions. But because the meta is always changing, and because interaction exists in the game, you're always going to have to learn something new. You have to know what cards to hand trap, what to stop, what not to stop, what to let go through, when you set up X card and when you don't, what combos lead into the next combos. GA has the same ceiling. Digimon does not, because it doesn't have that level of interaction. And that is fine. That is what different games are for. So if you guys are watching this and you are not a Grand Archive player, let this serve as your intro to maybe you should try another game. It doesn't have to be GA. I do implore you to try GA. It could be any game. If your current game isn't kicking it for you, give GA a try. You might enjoy it. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys like this podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, please do drop a like, drop a comment letting me know what you thought and what you'd like to hear me talk about in the future, and also subscribe so that you know when future videos come out. If you're watching on Spotify or listening, please drop us a 5-star review and follow us or like us or whatever it is on Spotify so that you will know when those future episodes come out. That is it for today's episode of the Archivist Almanac. Thank you guys for listening, and until I talk to you guys next time, peace out.